Coach, last week you stressed to us that you hoped your rushing game would improve. 296 yards. Just talk about Josh, DeAndre, and the offensive line, what they did last week.
Well, we simplified things a little bit, so I thought our offensive staff did a good job giving the kids stuff they could handle. Certainly the running backs ran really good, but they needed some blocking up front. We really haven't had that early in the season, so it was nice to see that come around.
Just looking ahead this week, Duke, just how important is it just to beat not only an ACC school but an in-state rival?
Well, this is a good football team. This is, I think, the best Duke team we've faced so far. I think Coach Cutcliffe's done a great job. And they're playing good on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And so this is a big challenge for us and another ACC game. And we talk a lot about playing in-state games, but anytime you're playing in the league, it's very important.
Camp had another great game on Saturday. Are you surprised at anything he's done this year?
Well, he had a good year last year. A lot, I think credit went to Chris Givens last year, and he was a great player for us, but I think Camp got overshadowed a little bit. This is a good football player, and I think it helped him last Saturday to have the running game go as well as it did, and a couple other receivers make some plays. So, Camp can't do it by himself. Tanner Price can't do it by himself. They need help, and hopefully he'll continue to have good games. I think if he does, that means everybody else is playing pretty good.
The last time Duke came to BBN Field, it was a nice little offensive shootout. Do you think we'll see anything like that again this year?
I think it's possible. I think we're going to have to score a lot of points. I think these guys are really good offensively. But the thing that's got my attention is how much they dominated Memphis from the defensive side of the ball. I don't think Memphis had close to 200 yards total offense last week. So this is not a one-dimensional football team. I think Coach Cutcliffe and the offense have been known for putting up points and lots of yards on everybody. But this is a much improved Duke defense. So we've got to play well on both sides of the football. But I think they're going to score some points, so we better find a way to do it ourselves.
Coach, can you talk about Nikita possibly most likely coming back? He said that he's 95% sure that he'll be ready to go on Saturday. What impact he'll bring back to that defense?
Well, I'm glad he's 95% sure. I watched him last night, and all he did was watch practice, so I don't know how that gets you ready to play. I think Nikita's biggest problem is he's been out for a while, and it's going to be hard for him to come back. Those high ankle sprains, you get to where you feel good walking to class, but being out there pushing against people, especially in his position where he's going to be going against guys that are 300-plus pounds up front, makes it a little bit tougher. So we'll see how that goes. Quite frankly, I have my doubts about him playing or playing well or playing a lot this Saturday, but we'll see. You never know.
He did mention the fact that his endurance is not where it needs to be right now, but today he said he will be practicing for the first time in pads. What will you expect out of him, at least on the practice field this week?
Well, I think we'll be cautious. I think we would love to have him back, but honestly, I think it's a stretch to think that he's going to come back Saturday and play like the old Nikita Wetlock. But if we could get some snaps out of him, I really like the way Tyler Harris is playing right now. Thought he did some really good things against Army. I think getting Hassan Hazimi in at some nose tackle was good for us. So I think we've got a little bit of flexibility now. It's not as big a concern that we've got to have Nikita back overnight, but certainly if he gets back in the mix, it helps us.
The defense in general struggled a little bit against the run, but it was the triple option that Army was bringing. Got a little bit more of a conventional offense you're facing this week. More optimism going into this game for your defense, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think, we've had a couple of weeks back-to-back where we haven't played very well defensively. Down at Tallahassee, we didn't play very well, and then didn't play very well Saturday. Now, I will say that in both cases, I thought Florida State's offense was pretty talented. I think Army offensively with the senior quarterback was a challenge for us, no question. I think probably as coaches we could have done a little bit more to help our guys scheme-wise last week, but we were afraid to put too much in. So a little bit more of a conventional offense, but Duke's an offense that's always given us problems. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, but you've won 11 straight over them. Is that in the back of your mind at all? Do you even think about that?
No, not at all. We tell our players all the time, if what you did yesterday looks good to you, you haven't done anything today. So things we've done in the past don't matter this coming Saturday. I mean, all we can take care of is today and practicing well, trying to get prepared. I think if we have a good week of practice, we'll have a chance. But a lot of our games with Duke, a lot of our games with everybody that we've won have gone right to the wire, and I wouldn't expect this to be any different. And you know, to be quite honest with you, several of the games that we've won against Duke, we've been very fortunate.
Ryan touched on the fact that you got the running game going this past Saturday. How much stride has the offensive line made from summer camp to now?
Well, I think we're better, but we'll find out week to week. Again, just like we talked about, I thought against Army's defense we did some good things, but can we do that against Duke's defense? I thought Duke, you know, showed some really good stuff defensively against Memphis, and especially in the defensive line, the front people. So it's going to be a great challenge for us Saturday. I think if we can get people blocked, we've got a couple backs can carry the football.
2 years ago, we talked about the shootout that took place here at BB&T Field. But last year, a little bit more of a defensive battle, kind of a game that was in the low 20s or whatnot. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer that type of shootout, as long as you get the W, obviously, but do you prefer a game that's kind of like a grinded out type of game, or shootout type of style?
Well, I'm an old defensive coach, so that answers the question for you. I think, you know, this past Saturday against Army, that's about the most miserable I've been in a long, long time. You know, we just kept taking turns and felt like the game lasted about 8 hours Saturday. So, you know, I'm being, with my defensive background, I like to see low-scoring games, but I just, more than anything, like to come out with a W.
You did talk about Duke's defense and how good they look against Memphis, but Renfrey and Connor have been putting up numbers so far. So can you speak about that combo on the offensive side for Duke?
Well, I think it speaks to balance. You know, I think Coach Cutcliffe said it looked like they had 12 guys on defense against Memphis. They just completely shut down Memphis's offense. And then on the other side of the ball, they've got a great combination. But I think you've got to really be careful if you're looking at Renfrey and Vernon as the two guys you got to stop, because they showed a little better running game against Memphis like we did last week against Army. But then they've got some other really, really good receivers, Crowder and Scott, and a whole bunch of guys that can go catch the football. So they're not a one or two dimensional offensive football team. You've got a lot of guys you got to worry about.